lounging, son.
Welcome back to the Comic Lounge. My name is Ryan, and back with me again, I got my boy Dr. Ben Anthony, and we are going to be talking about the great Rick Veitch and his Max Immortal book.
Max Immortal.
I had read Brat Pack. I didn't even know about Brat Pack until the Kayfabe channel, like a couple years ago. Like, I think they were going through an issue, and super hard to find. And I picked up just the first issue, like the single issue, and then I had the trade, and I got rid of it for whatever. I really wanted the hardcover, and I figured if I got rid of the trade, maybe it would push me to get the hardcover, but it was ridiculous in terms of price.
I've got two of the soft covers.
Yeah, IDW put out a hardcover not that long ago, but it's like super expensive now. Luckily, he came out with the 30th anniversary. You know, you can get all of his King Hell Heroica books on Amazon, his print on demand stuff. So I got, and then the guys did a Max Immortal episode, and I watched like a little bit of it, and then I turned it off, and I went and ordered the first book, and I don't know, little backstory on my history with it. But so I'm super excited to talk about it, because I actually like Max Immortal better than Brat Pack, and I don't know if that's like sacrilege to say, but I really enjoyed this book.
Well, like Max Immortal seems more like would you call it almost like meta or something?
Yeah, because I think that, and I like books like that. I think that's why I liked it so much.
Yeah, because I mean, it has all the stuff where it's like, you know, it's just like a straight like reinterpretation of like Siegel and Schuster creating Superman and then getting, you know, like screwed over or whatever.
Right. I think what was interesting about it too is that, well, first of all, the opening scene's weird as fuck. Like the opening of the book with it's an alien that can change sexes.
Is that what that is? Because I was actually I'm gonna be honest, I could not figure that out. Like I was like rereading it. You know, it starts, and it's all based off like a real event too, right? Like this in Siberia, there was really like a comet impact or whatever. Yeah, that's like that's a real event or whatever. So he took that, and the comet, it is actually that's like a woolly mammoth.
And it doesn't even explain why there's just a woolly mammoth there. Like, there's no explanation. It's just there, and then that fucking alien comes down floating. It's so female, and then proceeds to
she vaporizes this dude.
Just incinerates every hair, every piece of clothing off of his body, and then has her way with him. Hatches a fucking egg in the water. You know, it's fucking just trippy as fuck. And then you see as she throws it into space, then you come back and the next page, it's a man.
That's what I was confused about. I'm like, because it was
I'm like, is there a page that got torn out of my book? I was like, I don't understand what's happening here. But that's the other thing. It's because I remember having this as a kid. I remember the first issue was in the local shop. And it was as a kid, it was the weirdest thing, because this is from 92. So it was right around the time when Image was coming out. And I remember we were all my friends and me were just it was originally Tundra, right?
Yeah, Tundra.
Yeah. Oh, dope, dude. That's cool, man.
Yeah.
I don't think I own one book with the Tundra logo on it. I need to change that.
You will. It's gonna be on the way here.
Nice.
Yeah, because I found a stash of these at Books Galore up in Erie, and I was just I snatched them all up. I'm just I'm gonna put these to good use.
Oh yeah, I like seeing it in color.
That's what I mean. It's I remember as a kid, it was just holy shit, they can have tits and everything in comics.
Yeah, the alien is way more unnerving in color, though, I have to say. Yes. It's not as I don't know, it's not as weird looking in black and white, but it's a weird scene, and it's an alien, but it was born on Earth, gets chucked into space, and then comes back.
Not to give away the end, but the end ties back in, because it's going to come back and give birth to myself now. Like that's the,
Yeah.
so like I guess that's like a spoiler, but like,
yeah, well, spoiler.
That's what we're right. That's what's happening, is it's like gives birth to itself or whatever. Like
it's fucking weird. And then you got this like play you know, the Kents, you know,
right.
Rick Veitch's version of the Kents. And the wife is just a nut, dude, you know. the fucking dad, like what happens to him? I mean, that was him on the cover of this issue, just gets beat down. And like
yeah, that's,
I mean, look at that, dude. That cover, that would have made me pick it up as a kid for sure. I'd have been like,
yeah,
what is this little man doing?
As a kid, I always thought that was like a giant, and then it's like, you know, because like as a kid you see things differently or whatever, and then it's like reading it, I'm like, you know, reading it again, like grown up, I'm like, why is he so small? Like,
yeah,
that's the same. It's just like a normal sized human, and it's just Max Immortal. He's
literally
like
he's just figure. He's like a small human. But like the proportion, it's not like he's like a little person. He's just literally just small. He's just a small human. Yeah, it's weird. It's like the size of like a fucking American doll, you know, American Girl doll or whatever.
Oh my
like that's what it reminds. It's all I was picturing. I'm like, if one of my daughter's little dolls was just sitting atop my shoulder, bashing my fucking skull in, dude. That's what I was picturing.
Yeah, because they find them. How far into it is it? Okay, it's like a couple pages.
Yeah.
And what is the whole thing? They have like 3 toes.
Yeah, it's just fucking weird.
So,
it's like,
look at right there. He's
just
like a little,
like a Chucky doll, dude.
This is what I do want to compare, because there's something about like when he does gore, when it's in black and white, that looks, I think it looks like creepier or something, because it's like, because that's why I wanted to.
Well, I think like, and that's like one of the reasons I really love black and white comics, and I wish there was more like nowadays, but no publishers really do it. You know, I think DC actually was doing it for a little while, which was very weird. They did this Future State Gotham book, and it was all done in black and white. It was that artist that worked on Brandon Graham's Prophet, Giannis Emilianis. He was the artist on that, and it was all black and white. And I remember seeing, I was so shocked that DC was actually putting out a major, not major title, but like it was in the Batman family book, and it was all black and white. And then when they did the Batman Black and White series again, like I think you're able to focus more on the actual line work and the writing and the story.
Like here, you know, he bites his, you know, Paul Kent's finger off, and it's like somehow like in the black and white, it has, I mean, the in color it's disgusting too. Definitely.
I think it's more graphic in black and white, actually, though, for sure.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like there's something about it just being in black and white. Maybe it's like your brain fills in the colors or something. I don't know. Like,
I love how when he gets near his fucking cocoon or rock, he just drops to the ground. It just falls asleep. Like he doesn't get sick like kryptonite. He just passes the fuck out.
And like does he understand that too? Because he doesn't. Night.
No, he doesn't understand it. I think later on is in this book is where he realizes that it makes him go to sleep.
Like all the stuff too, like they even know, like comment, like, you know, what worries me is his feet. They ain't right. Only 3 toes.
Just put shoes on him. Like that's the solution.
He's got like that's the other thing I love with Rick Veitch, is that he knows the story, you know what I'm saying? Like he's not like from page to page, you know, everything has like that constance to it, you know what I mean? Like so he goes from, you know, getting his fingers cut off to like the next page receiving
his arms in a sling.
Right. He's
hand is bandaged, and then this little fucker just starts burning everything down.
And is there something that like sets him off? Oh, it's just because he's just like still a baby or whatever. He just freaks out. Like it's not like anything he does anything. He's like,
he's just getting fed a bottle. and then just fucking burns his Kent's glasses off. And just lights everything. This is where I'm like, I was reading it, I'm like, I think I got pulled into me like from here. This is where it really like because I haven't really read a lot of Rick Veitch. I'm realizing more and more now, and my plan is to fix that for sure. Like I haven't read his, and I love Swamp Thing. I've never read his run when he took over as writer, so that's like a personal goal of mine. Like Brat Pack, I liked, but after reading this, I reread Brat Pack and I liked it better the second time after having read this, even though it's like loosely connected. It's not connected story-wise, really. They just mention True Man in it, But
what I think is funny with Brat Pack is like how much it reminds me of like The Boys. Like when I was watching like The Boys, I haven't read any of The Boys comics by like cartoonists, but like I've watched like all the show or whatever, and it is like so similar to like Brat Pack with just like these like over the top like hyper like sexualized like superheroes, or I don't even know if you call them superheroes, but you know what I mean, like they're
vigilantes.
Yeah, vigilantes.
Yeah, they're more vigilantes. Yeah,
because in Brat Pack, they all just have like this dark side to all of them that is just, it's like disturbing.
Yeah, I think the Mink was one of the most disturbing ones.
Yes.
And then what was the other guy, the one that like tortured his sidekick?
Oh, the one that he looks like
it's like
he's got like the hood and stuff.
Yeah, he's a KKK member. Yeah, dude.
That's exactly what I'm saying. In The Boys, it's like,
yeah.
I mean, obviously,
I feel like he was just so far ahead of his time. I mean, obviously, people like definitely praised it back then. Just like, I mean, look, I mean, this book alone was nominated for an Eisner in '93. So
really,
yeah. Oh, you have a different version of mine. So, like on the back of mine, it says '93 Eisner nominee, Best Finite Series. Yeah, yours doesn't say that. Okay, yeah, because you have the actual. You have like an older version of it. Yeah, mine is from the POD, the print on demand stuff. So but yeah, this is like where when he, they're like, the dad knows like we gotta get rid of this fucking kid, and
he's a dangerous creature.
Yeah, it just like looking at him, like pulling at his face, and they just fucking walk off. There's those two panels in the bottom right. I'm just like, all I thought about before I thought the page is like, what the fuck is about to go down? That's all I was thinking.
Call the militia. Tell them about the egg.
Bye.
It's too late. And then,
yeah, this guy eating shit. Literally, what? That I never. That part, like, I think I was confused for most of. Like, it helps him see visions, right?
Yeah, well, he's like eating like mescaline buttons or whatever, or peyote buttons, because mescalito. Yeah, mescalito is like the name of the spirit that that is inside peyote or whatever.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah. See, I liked when he shows up. I want to just jump to the newer ones real quick for just a second. This isn't like the first issue of the new ones.
So that's technically book 2, right?
Right.
That's like supposed to take place after the book we're talking about.
It's like previously in Max Immortal.
Okay.
And it has like a little recap of everything, and then the first page is like El Guano. They're like,
oh yeah, that's his name. El Guano.
Raise the old buzzard. It's Sheldon Gilbert. I've brought a friend, S. Clay Williams. El Guano is always here. Do you bring me my comics? You bet. Here's a whole stack just for you. Like, that's what I'm saying. It's like this whole like weird like meta thing that he does that like it's the same with like with his Rarebit Fiends stuff, because like so much of that is like him having all these dreams where like all the comics he's working on you know, like leech into his dreams. You know, like when he was doing that, he was working on that, what was it, Technophage. It was like, there was like that Techno comics that came out back in 93, and he did the one with the lizard guy or whatever.
Okay.
And like that thing would like show up in his dreams, and like the weird like architecture and that would be in his dreams and stuff. And then he'd have, you know, he had all kinds of dreams where he'd see you know, him and Bissett and Alan Moore would be hanging out, where he'd have a dream with Neil Gaiman in it or whatever. And it's like, that's what I'm saying. Like as a kid, like seeing all that stuff like just blew my mind. That was always, I was just like, how could you dream about meeting Steve Bissett? Like that's insane. Like, you know, like that's what I'm saying. Like as a kid, I was like,
I can't imagine reading this as a kid, dude. You know? I don't know what it would have done to me as a person.
this is,
you know,
this is what happens. Is
yeah.
turn into this.
Yeah, but I think, you know, the part, like you talk about like being meta, like eventually this kid, True Man, like, right, the alien, he fucking burns the fucking city down, and they put him in that cocoon, and then it's like, that's when we get to like the Jerry Siegel, Joe Shuster like analogs, right? This part too. Look at that. He's just fucking obliterating his fucking goal, man. No, like just like that's what I heard. No, and just like bashing his fucking dude's face.
That's the perfect voice for him too. Like I could.
That's the voice
like,
I heard.
Eventually, like he kills him, right? Like he's
like floating up in the air with this like.
He's like jumping on him.
It's like he doesn't even realize that he's doing it. That he's really killing him. He doesn't know that he's doing it.
Right, because he's still talking to him. Because like, I mean, his neck is, the neck of his dad there is definitely not,
you can even see the way his feet are hanging. It just like the body's limp. Like there's nothing going on there anymore. Right. But I think the thing that I didn't realize too the most from it is, I mean, I'm skipping ahead now, but is like 1937, right, when we get the Jerry Siegel, Joe Shuster like analogs. Oh, I guess I'm skipping the part where he fucking castrates the fucking cat. That one soldier, right? He's a soldier, right? Wallace,
in the plane.
Ballless Wallace.
Ballless, yes.
So yeah, I like how they tie it in eventually with the guys who are now creating True Man, which is actually the alien. Like, is his how did his existence come to fucking in their head? You know, I think that's what's cool, is that this alien existed in real life, or exists within this world, is gone for what, almost 3 decades at this point, right? Because it happens in 1908, I think. And then they just make a comic, and this dude is now the editor of this comic, of this fucking being that crushes balls.
Wait a second, is he still alive actually? Wait a second, because this part where they're
the dad,
because like she's like, of course my husband and I would be glad to help. For all, it's the Christian thing to do, because that's after when that Wallace like falls through and gets ruins his manhood there. They're trying to get him to like an actual doctor.
I don't think he's alive though. There's like flies flying around his head.
Oh yeah, right? Well,
he's dead. He's got to be. I mean, his eyes hanging out of his
there is
socket.
something about that where she's your husband seems a little worse for wear.
Yeah, like he's clearly insane, dude. You know, this fucking lady's clearly not all there.
Right, yeah, because she's okay, yeah, no, I forgot about her. She's like off on like this religious trip, because she's like
she's like one of those crazy evangelical people, you know, that just like, oh, I'm doing the Lord's work. You know, that's how I read it. I read her voice and like really soft. Hi, I'm doing the Lord's work. You know, like just really fucking psychotic. Like if you heard that voice in a dark room, you shit yourself. Like that's what I heard when she was talking. Like you could see like the blank look in her eyes too. Like she doesn't know what the fuck she's doing.
Which, I mean, to be fair, could have been caused by, like seeing, just seeing, experiencing all this, like this weird Max Immortal shows up, and I guess, yeah, he is dead because he's just like, he's rotting.
Yeah, and then
dad is rotting.
As True Man, or the alien, is flying around, what he calls farming is decapitating heads. putting it in that water tower, dude. That scene too, like I think, oh yeah, you just went to it, where all the heads are just flying from the fucking sky.
Yeah, that's
and there he goes. Bad. That's all I can hear when I read it.
What I think is like the funniest thing too is that, like, imagining all this, and then like imagining like Rick Veitch himself, because he looks just like to see the pictures of him back then, he doesn't look like a crazy hippie back then, like he just looks like a kind of normal person. And now he looks, I'm not to be like ageist or anything, but he's like a grandpa now, right? Like you see him, and he's, he just looks like a normal everyday grandpa, and it's like, this is all the crazy stuff.
Yeah, look at what comes from his pencil and his, when he's typing. It's crazy shit.
And again, like with all these heads, I mean, like, look, that gore just like is just so disturbing. Like, I mean, I always think of like someone being decapitated or whatever, and it's like it doesn't click like just how disturbing that is. But seeing just like these illustrations of it, it's just, and then like just a rain of all the heads, like you said. I mean, and he's still like, he's definitely dead. I don't know why I didn't realize that.
And they just lock him away, dude, for years. Yeah, right. Like he doesn't get unearthed until like halfway through the book.
Right, because then he's eventually what they use as the atomic bomb, basically, right? Like,
yeah, that was dope. I like that was what they utilized him for, and the rest of the world just thinks it's an atom bomb, and it's really just an alien, and then they fucking bring him and put him back in his little cocoon ball.
I should have put a note where that was, because it's like such a weird, I know it's a ways ahead, but
there it is, right there. I know, I love that part. Go back to the other page you just at, where his head's just poking out.
Oh, well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's over on this one. It's like the cap opens up, you just see his little head. And then just to imagine that it's like they just have it like on like a rope or whatever, where it's just, it looks like a bomb, but it's actually, just him
opening his eyes and obliterating everything.
Right. Yeah. Just sticking his head out, and that's a wrap.
Yeah, but so like I was saying, like the fact that these two guys now create this character as a superhero comic, which is them basically, it's a Superman creators creating Superman,
right?
But it exists, so it's like in the what am I trying to think of, like dream, like unified dream consciousness, almost like that it comes to them in their,
I know, I
can't think of the word,
like the collective.
Yes.
So like the fact that like it comes to him, the writer, not the artist, right? I think is really an interesting way of like bringing that meta aspect to it, right? Like, because before we get to this particular page, nothing about it screams really the Superman story. A little bit, right? But like if it didn't get to this point, you could easily go somewhere else and you could be like, oh, this isn't them doing Superman, it's something completely different. But then like, you know, seeing them added to it, and because obviously I think this is the period where I know DC had made it right a little bit financially with
yeah, because that had started, like that was like one of the
Superman
things, like,
movie. Yeah,
right.
Neil
What like
Adams.
Neil Adams had been doing
Yeah.
that, and then when the Superman movie came out, like everyone was like, "What? You guys have just been."
I know, but and then like seeing it redone here again, knowing why Rick Veitch, what he was intending us to take from it, it just made me sad all over again. You know, watching the way these creators that essentially created the superhero genre, right?
Right.
And just like completely just taken for everything they had, all their talent, and then one of them continuing to slave away drawing, treated like shit. The other like stood his ground and was like, oh, I don't want to be, you know, like he walked away from it and went and did something else and was even offered a job back, but he's like, no, you know. And then to get I mean, I'm all over the place right now, but like the part where you know, Ballas Wallace gets him to sign the rights over and to say that he created True Man, not them, you know.
Oh, right, because this is the part where
where you are, and these pages, that's where they sign the contract to do the comic, completely underpaid.
Anyone who works for me gets our top rate, $5 whole a page. Like
crazy, dude. I mean, I'm sure back then it's, well,
I don't know, because I mean, if you figure if that's like similar to what they would have been getting, which I kind of imagine that it is. Like, I can't imagine
the comics were 10 cents a copy, so
right. So
and back then they were like, I mean, I have a reprint of Action Comics, and obviously they didn't do the entire book themselves, but those were like 64 pages back then for a 10-cent comic.
Okay.
Yeah. So like 5 pages, you think maybe they did 10. So that's $50 an issue if they only did a 10-page story, because I don't think they were 20-page stories yet.
Right.
But if they're doing other stories, you know, like, I mean, I guess like $50, that still doesn't sound like much. I don't know.
No.
But I guess the publisher would have to sell crap ton of copies to make that $50 back that they've shelled out, right? I mean, that's like 500 copies. I guess they're selling way more than that. I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about.
We should figure out like what kind of, because I know like the sales like back then in like the 30s and the 40s and the 50s, like the sales were like crazy. That was when there was like millions of copies or whatever.
Right, but they also did returns.
Right.
Right, I mean, like newsstands could fucking return, like same thing with magazines, like they didn't have to keep their whatever they didn't sell, you know, and they would get their money. I'm pretty sure they get their money back. I know at one point they would make you tear the covers off and send it back. I know Diamond alone up until, I mean, it's been a while since I've done it, but like when they were allowing returns, they would make you take the covers off, rip them off, and send it back to them so that you could get the credit for the comic.
Right. That's like, I have lots of
coverless
comics with, yes. See, the part that I just talking about how like they were getting like screwed over is when they go by and they see here where they see all the like the True Man toys and games and stuff, and that's when they're like, well, let's go ask him for a raise. You know it doesn't. For one, he comes in and like that Wallace guy, Wallace there is like just torturing somebody, and then like they show up and he's just like, oh hey, okay, what's going on? Good to see you guys, my boys, glad you could drop by. Bring in pages for the next issue. And they're like,
and it's FBI guys, and they're like telling him like, oh, you wrote this story about True Man and the atom bomb, how do you know that? You know, what the fuck? Because they obviously know that True Man exists. I mean, I don't think at this point, right? Like, what year? 1943. So that's a couple years before the Hiroshima. But obviously, like,
right.
They don't understand. I mean, at least what I took from it is the FBI is well aware of this True Man, right? This alien, rather.
Yes.
And they're like, how the fuck do these two fucking schmucks making a comic book know?
These gentlemen have come all the way from Washington to have a few words with you boys.
Yeah, and then that's how he bribes them to just continue to do, basically just maintain status quo, is, well, I'll take care of it, right? I'm pretty sure that's what he does.
Right.
Or
Because
am I
then
wrong? I'm pretty sure that's what he does, right? Yeah.
they're asking him like, where'd you get that idea?
Yeah.
They order Truman to pretend he's an atom bomb and annihilate the entire city. Of course, he refuses. And where did you get that idea?
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. Is like they don't realize that like Truman is real or whatever at that point. Like the FBI knows,
Right, but they don't. Yeah.
right? They're just like, we're just making up stories. Like I read a lot of science fiction. Like
I know the part that's sad too is like Jerry, like, and after, like, I think it's a couple pages forward, and it's like, you got to be with me on this. That page right here, he's like, come on, Joe, you have to be with me on this. We gotta be united, right? And then Jerry goes to the bathroom to fucking take a shit,
right?
and in that time, Joe goes in and is like, I'll keep doing it, you know. Like, I don't know the full backstory of the real, like, you know, Jerry Seal and Joe Shuster, but like, I feel like one of them did continue to do comics while one of them didn't. And I wonder how much of this was kind of leaning towards that, you know, that true history of it.
Right.
Because it just made me sad. I'm like, oh my God, like, you created something, this motherfucker with no talent owns it now from you, and is now basically blackmailing you into agreeing, like, to stay, or, you know, to stay, like. And then he's like, so who created Truman? That bottom right corner panel, fucking just a scumbag.
Who created Truman?
Piece of shit.
That's easy. See, Jerry had this weird dream about him when we were in high school. He told it to me.
Wrong answer. Who created Truman? Then just with his head down, you did, Sid. Oh, shitty.
And it's, I think before that, there wasn't anything with the where he has that the Wallace like logo. Yeah.
Oh yeah, right there where it's like Walt Disney. Yeah.
Right. So that's the other thing that I like, is that it's like he's not just like, you know, he's like definitely grinding his axe with like DC, because, you know, this is after you know, after he was fired from DC basically with Swamp Thing.
Uh-huh.
You know, he's definitely got that axe to grind, but then he's also like, well, I mean, DC, Marvel didn't have or Disney didn't own Marvel at that point, obviously.
Right.
But he's tying it all together. You know, it's, once it's into this like a corporation's hands, they're all basically the same, you know, because I guess that probably ruins my chances of working with Disney probably, but they're gonna hold this against me. But yeah, because it's like 45. So yeah, it's like 2 years after this part before is when
yeah, I wonder why he's like throwing shit at like, is it at Walt Disney, or is it just Disney in general? You know what I mean? By making that logo. Because Sydney, I mean, if you flip the word, I mean, Sydney is Disney. All you have to do is flip the D and the S, and it's now, and then that spells Disney.
And that's the other part, is that the one that was in the bathroom, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's the one, he gets sent to the war then, because that was like,
because he didn't agree.
Right. Because the whole time he had threatened him before, he's like, well, hey, you know,
I can keep you, I can keep you from going.
Right, I can keep your draft cards here, and you know, we got a deal. And then like once he's like, he just sells him up the river and is like, okay, off you go. And he's like, he's telling her, you know, the buddies, he's on the boat, and he's like, what'd you used to do? And he's like, I was a comic book writer. Yeah, my favorite comics, I love reading comics. My favorite guy is this guy in long underwear and a cape, Truman. You ever hear of him? Like, yeah, I guess. Me and my partner created him. And he's like, well, you must be rich. Why didn't you buy your way out of the service?
No.
We got taken to the cleaners by our publisher. Like that's what I'm saying. Like all of the parts with them are just so sad. Like,
yeah, dude, it's because, you know, and it's like, it's anybody reading this has to have some, at least kind of knowledge about the history of Superman and the creators. I would imagine anybody, because this is like a deep cut, Max Immortal. Your average comic reader, this is not their first fucking comic book, you know? And I think that's what makes it, I think that's why I like this one so much, because like it felt like I liked that meta aspect, and I liked seeing it. I mean, I liked seeing it, but I didn't like seeing it at the same time, if that makes sense. Because it just makes me sad that so many creators, it reminds me of like Jack Kirby too, you know, like all these creators that just like poured their blood, sweat, and tears into these characters, and these other people were just making money off of their hard work and really had no talent to speak of, you know.
And he's just getting mocked too, like they're showing like a True Man film on the boat or whatever. He's like, that's my character, I created him. They're like, oh no, it wasn't created, it was created by Sidney Wallace. I told you he was bullshit and he didn't create him. Like, just horrible. I mean,
I know when you go forward to, you see like as he's returned home from the service, he sees another movie, he's eating there and decides to go down to the office, and you just see like in the lobby where it says I think it's like the next page, it says America's best loved cartoonist, Sidney Wallace. That fucking just shit eating grin, dude. That's fucking just scumbag taking credit for nothing that he did. And this is the part where it gets me. A couple pages past this, like you see like the studio, all the artists working, but then you see Joe just sitting there, just looking like he's gotten beat down by life, you know, with a cigarette hanging out of his mouth. He just looks over, all just sad and pathetic.
Yeah, I mean, because I mean, that has to like weigh on him, you know. Like,
yeah,
he sold out, and
I shouldn't have said pathetic. Pathetic is mean. That's a mean way to describe something. But just like, you know,
I mean, that's how you would feel though. There's no way you could get around that. Like I sold out, and for what? I'm not doing anything. Like I'm not rich. I'm not like,
I know. And then on this page, the first page right here, the bottom right corner, where he's one of the other artists, like, or Joe's like, oh yeah, they treat me good, they respect me, I think. And he's like, hey, shit for brains, where are those proof for the Mexican reprints? I need them now, asshole. Like, Jesus fucking Christ, dude. I was like, my God. And he just says, they're almost done, I got them right on the board. I'm just,
and that's exactly like sometimes like I can imagine people like joking, like calling each other shit for brains or something, but like
there's no joking here.
Yeah. He's just
clearly just talking to him like shit.
And it's not him that becomes eventually the one that's in the suit, right? That's not
Joe, it's Jerry.
Right, it's the writer.
Yeah.
It was the writer that got sent to war, and
yeah, and then fucking El Guano's sitting on the shitter. Oh, I'm a couple pages ahead.
Yeah, I'm slow.
And he's like reading the True Man fucking story. This is such a weird character. Like, I really wish I could understand where Rick Veitch came up with the idea for this. I got to get him on the channel. Ask him.
I thought you already had him on there.
I haven't had Rick Veitch.
Really? Who am I thinking? Because I know he was on.
He's on Comics Cube.
Oh, okay.
Dewey had him on, yeah. Soon I'll have him on. But yeah, then he gets the costume made, and he fucking
because then it has the whole bit where it's like the guy who's playing True Man in the shows like
starts to believe he's True Man,
which that was like what happened with, was it George Reeves, like the guy that played Superman? Like
yeah
he started thinking like that he was really Superman and like jumped out a window or whatever, which like looking back on it now, like knowing how like news stories and history and everything is written, like you got to wonder, or at least I've got to wonder, it might just be my paranoia, you know, like did George Reeves really, like, is that really what happened, or was it like some sort of nefarious cover up or something, and people were just like, yeah, he just went crazy, that's what happened.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like it's that's what I'm saying. Like, I love that it just, it makes you just like think of things in like so many different ways. Like it makes you rethink just like everything with history, really. Well, I mean, especially with all the comic stuff here, Siegel and Schuster, and then like with Wallace there. Let's go back to a page of Wallace just to it makes me wonder who he's like, this kind of like a conglomerate of just all the different sort of like studio bosses, you know what I mean? Like that, it has to be obviously someone from DC, but then it also, I think, is like he mixed in a little bit of like Stan Lee, because
definitely Walt Disney too. Because I think maybe I'm remembering this wrong, but I feel like Walt Disney was probably a little bit of an asshole.
I can imagine.
Maybe I'm wrong. I know he's anti-Semitic, so
yeah,
I know he's got that going for him. So I mean,
yeah.
I can't make it too nice of a guy, you know.
Yeah, but that kind of puts you into the asshole level. I mean,
yeah, but I mean, that's clearly who Wallace is, and he's a fucking tyrant, and he has like not low self-esteem, but he cares about his image. He cares about his image, because anytime somebody calls him anything, he just like loses it. He's got like a Napoleon complex, almost similar to that, but not about his height. Hates to be made fun of, doesn't want to be the butt of anyone's jokes, can't laugh at himself. I didn't even make that connection with George Reeves though.
Yeah, no, that's what, like, growing up, like I always remember like my dad telling me about that like, yeah, eventually he thought he was Superman and jumped out of a building. He thought he could fly, and I was just like, what, really?
Yeah,
because like for me growing up, Superman was definitely like Christopher Reeve, you know, like that was
same. I only knew the George. I don't think I've ever seen the show. I think that I only knew the George Reeves version because of the episode of I Love Lucy where he guest starred. Like that's the only reason I knew there was a Superman from that era and had a show, was because of that. Because I love Lucy.
really? Okay.
Side note for everybody listening and watching.
Okay, no, I love Lucy's all right. I mean, definitely. There's something. It's actually not too far away from here. Is like some sort of Lucy museum or something. I can't remember where. Off the top of my head, I can't think of it. That's what I'm saying too. Like that I love with Rick Veitch is just this gore and like just like, what on earth is this? Like that's Max Immortal inside his egg.
Right.
I've got to back off on the kryptonite before it's too late. What on earth is that stuff? It's just disgusting. Like,
I just assumed it was fucking hot steaming shit. That's what I took it as. I'm probably wrong, but I mean, as I was looking, I'm like, that just looks like shit.
Right. Well, I mean, because this is back to that
El Guano, dude.
Right. I forgot about that, where he's like wiping his ass and throwing it into this pot of like, and he's using like pages from the comic to wipe his ass and everything. Like it's that's what I'm saying. Like it's just disgusting. Like he captures that just it makes me shudder looking at so many of his drawings. And I mean that's what you want though. I mean, if you're drawing something disgusting, you want people to like,
you want that reaction. Yeah, I think he definitely like he gets the react. I mean, I'm pretty sure I got I had the reaction he would have wanted me to have as I was reading this book.
Exactly. Like it's just gross. Like it's just gross. And I mean, and that's, you know, just as like the commentary on like corporations like exploiting people is just, it's gross, you know, that people would do that to each other, you know, that you would exploit someone and then just throw them away, just not appreciate what they're doing and just use them and just throw them away like a piece of toilet paper or whatever. Like, and that, you are El Guano, the shit. And like I think at the same time back in because I only had, as a kid, I'd only had like the first issue of Max Immortal, so I never had all the rest of it. but I remember that was like the same time that like Ace Ventura was coming out, when he was when he goes over and they're like guano.
Oh, the second one, When Nature Calls.
Yes.
Guano.
That's what I'm saying. It never lets up. Yeah, because that's when he ends up having to go back. I can never remember the names of either of them, but it's the writer has to end up going back, whose hometown, has to go to Spiegel and Son clothing. He has to go back and work at the family tailor shop or whatever, and just like it's not that he's at the end of his life, but he's just at that just deep depression of just he made this thing, he made True Man. It's super popular, there's movies, there's toys, no one believes him, he doesn't have anything to show for it. Everyone's that's his father there behind him in this one, right? I believe.
I think so, yeah. Yeah, and he's the one making the costume for the show, right? Isn't that what he's doing?
No, that's the one that he makes himself, isn't it?
Okay.
Because then he
Oh yeah, I don't know why I thought he was making it for the show. Yeah, you're right though. It's for himself.
Yeah, and then this is where it references that they're talking about they're all doing diet pills or whatever, but that's when it references what's his face?
Frederick Wortham?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. What is it called? It's called Ravaged Innocence. Yeah, he's connecting so much of real comic book history within this, and it extends past like the Siegel and Schuster and the Superman stuff,
Oh yeah, because last week I ran into Marv Feldman over at Demon Comics. Demon Comics, what kind of stuff are they looking for? What kind of stuff are they looking for at Demon Comics?
That's supposed to be EC, right? Demon Comics.
Right.
Yeah, and then you got on one of the pages when they're sitting in here. Oh yeah, on this one where he talks about the Midnight Mink and Chippy. He's like, I always thought they were a little queer. Right. That's the character I was talking about from Brat Pack.
What worries me most and should trouble all parents is the industry-wide practice of implanting subliminal sexual imagery within the drawings, masquerading unwholesome relationships in the characters themselves. Such sick seduction of innocent minds is a prime cause of homosexuality and other deviant sexual practices in our young people.
I love the first guy's like, who's he talking about? It's the first response.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, Veitch is just like, if I were to say like who I would think is just like a living just master of just, I mean, like, there's so many like great artists, I love like Sienkiewicz, obviously, and I mean,
right.
But there's something about Veitch where he just strikes me as just being just like the pen ultimate, just like it's like he never sold out, he never was, like the if you go through all the issues of Wizard where they have their top 10 artists and writers, you never see Rick Veitch on there. They've got articles about him, but he's never like that person where he was like chasing the fame. He was doing what he had to do, doing his art,
He's super smart too, Like, I love the fact that, like, I mean, there's an essay in the back of this. I skimmed it because I was like,
in all this stuff where they're showing that hearing or whatever, like all that is what there was like William Gaines from EC Comics,
and they call him William Games instead. Like, that's
this perhaps you could explain to the American people,
because he was right. He was spun out in that in real life. William Gaines, right?
Yeah, well, that was what they were. This was the issue that they had was this one of the holding the head with the axe, and they're like, explain to the American people why you have shown a woman's severed head on the cover of Children's Entertainment, and like that was like historically, like that was what they were talking about, where he was like, well, it could have been worse. We could have angled the head, or made the show the neck bleeding or had the tongue hanging out, and they're just like, right, oh, okay, so it could have had, you could have made it worse with more gore. Oh, so you just think that's appropriate for children? He's just like everything he said, he was just digging himself in like worse. Like it was.
Well, I like on the page before that where they're like, what's the matter with him? It looks like he's gonna fucking pee his pants. He's crashing on diet pills. They're gonna crucify him. Like, this shit's hilarious, dude. And then on the following page, it's like, this damn circus is making us look like pornographers. I don't know if the industry can survive this. Yeah, it must have been a scary time in comics too. You know, like all the censorship. And I know like Howard Chaykin has talked about that, how like they neutered the comics, you know, for such a long time. And that's when all the underground stuff happened, because like they had no choice. They had to go away because of the Comics Code Authority. And I love how and here they call
Comics
it
Commandments.
Yeah, thou shalt not. And that's supposed to be Kirby, right? On the page on the left-hand page, where he's like, we fought a war to stop that kind of crap. That's Kirby. Yeah.
It's censorship. That's what it is. He wants to be a fucking censor. We fought a war to stop that kind of crap. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like Kirby is all like,
yeah, there's just like, and for me, it's like there's so many like Easter eggs for you to like, for like real diehard comic fans to like to pick apart, you know, like that you have to be a fucking comic book nerd. And I say that with, you know, all the love in that statement, but to really appreciate some of the inner workings of what Veitch did with the Max Immortal.
There's something too, like I just noticed this. I mean, like I've seen it before, but like the way that him and like Steve Bissette does the same thing, where like they draw like their cheeks like blown out like that.
Yeah,
there's something about that where like, because Steve Bissette does it too. Like I'm thinking in he had his like Spider Baby Graphics Presents or something, like where he has like that, just that same image of like the cheeks just all puffed out. I'm not sure like if that's just I mean, obviously, you know, they were like friends and like co-artists and everything, but there's just, it's such a like a simple thing of just like, you know, having your cheeks like puffed up, coughing or whatever, and it just has that just horribly just disgusting. I mean, you see all these beads of sweat coming off of there, and like I said, it's just like such a simple thing, but I mean, it looks like just terrifying. Like,
yeah, it almost looks like he's about to yak. I mean, I know if you didn't have the text knowing he's coughing, it looks like he's about to fucking puke everywhere.
right,
But I know what you mean. It's unsettling.
yes, that's what I'm saying. Because I didn't have, like I said, I didn't have these issues when I was a kid, but I had the Steve Bissette like Spider Baby Graphics comic, where it was like it was like the story in there was like, it was called like the Telltale Fart. It was the guy's like face gets all blown up like that because of it's like based off like the Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe, but like it's like he kills his wife and it's like she's always farting because like she's always eating beans or something. Yeah. And at the end of it, like his face is all blown up like that because it's like it turns into her butt. Like it's like you see the picture of him at the end, and it's like this same panel from up on the top right, but it looks more like a butt. And then just that same just disgusting, like just visceral, like you can just, you know what I mean, like you can just feel like just the textures on all of it just looking at it. I mean, but I mean the thing too is it's not just that, you know what I mean, like you look through any other part of this and like, you know, like them sitting in the coffee shop, you know, like their coffee cups are getting knocked over, or like the rain outside or puddles. He's just able to capture just so much of textures where it's, you know, it looks interesting, but it looks like realistic, you know what I mean? Like he captures texture so well with just,
I know what you mean. I feel that like I feel like it's the same type of feeling like when I see something like Jaime Hernandez draws, where like like they feel real, like just the subtle things that he does. Like I think it's a panel with Maggie where she's laying down on the bed and it's like the backs of her knee, like right behind her knee, just the way he drew the line on there. I'm like, it's like it's hard for me to like really convey like.
No, I know what you're saying. It's like they're able to capture that. It's not like it's realistic. You know, I mean, it's realistic in a sense, but it's not like that, like hyper realistic. You know, it's like they're truly like cartoonists, because it's like they're capturing that sense of realism just in a cartoony fashion. You know what I mean? And it just though, because it's not like he has like a ton of lines. You know what I mean? Like I think of somebody like David Finch or like Richard Friend or somebody where they have like so many lines that everything has got this realistic look. It's not like they're doing that. It's like they're able to capture that realism though
with like a simplicity to their art.
Yes,
but it's not, I don't want to say simplicity like in a bad way, you know, but like they're able to convey it and capture it with minimal lines and do it in a way that like, I mean, like you said, he's like a master of like, he's like one of the masters of his craft in terms of like the creators that are still with us. You know what I mean? Like there's not, in my opinion, there's not many of them that are still here, you know, but like the Hernandez brothers to me are that. Veitch, Bissett, you know,
you talked, you got to interview Jaime too, didn't you?
I did, yeah,
I did. I interviewed Jaime. No big deal.
You know, Bissett was fun. Bissett was a fun chat, but I really want to talk to Veitch. I really want to like pick his brain a little on this, because this book is just like, it's rare that I get blown away by comics that have been around this long, and it's just now, you know.
No, I know what you're saying. Like it's well, I mean, like you said before, it was ahead of its time, because I mean it was
like you imagine this comes out now, this would be like, people would love this shit. Like that's what sucks, is that like it's not readily available in shops. Like I wish like I could like have the entire Hell Heroica stuff like on my picks at the shop, you know. But
see, that is one of the things I have. I'm not gonna say like against, like with him doing like Max Immortal, Max Immortal, right? Through Amazon or whatever, is that I don't think there's any particular way that like a shop can have these in the shops. You know what I'm saying? Like in order for like the comic shop you're at to have these, it'd be like
they'd have to charge more.
Right, they would have to order them just right from Amazon. So
but it's like I get it though. I understand from his perspective, like there's no gamble, there's no risk for him. He literally is able to just create, submit it, and they deal with the shipping, the printing, all that stuff. Like I remember when he shared on Facebook or whatever, like he got the proofs back for one of the books. I forgot what book it was, but I mean, look, he's able to like put all the stuff that's been long out of print, and he's able to bring that to new readership. And I think at that point, it's like, it can't be in shops, but it's also getting to the people that want it. Like his real, like his true fans, right? Like the people that like his stuff. And maybe, you know, you get a random person that's just like looking at stuff and it's in their recommended and they check it out because it's reasonably priced too. I mean,
because this is what, $10. Yeah, this is
that one bucks. That one is, I mean, with the exception of the Max Immortal and Brat Pack, which are 20, he's got those that are 10, right? And then he's got a lot of the other stuff he's been putting back into print. He's got his Rare Bit Fiends that he drops on there. I think there was what was that book, Bong Comics or something like that, some of his underground stuff.
Bong Comics, yeah.
So I haven't picked that up yet, but it's like, you know, like this book like made me really like Veitch's stuff more so than Brat Pack. And I know that Brat Pack, a lot of like Neil Gaiman did the fucking intro for that trade, you know. But this one kind of made me connect on a different level, and then reading Brat Pack again for the second time, because like I said, I'm really late to the game with Brat Pack. and all of the Veitch stuff, but I liked it better having read this. You know, I didn't like it as much when I read it the first time. I appreciated it for what it was. It was a good book, you know, but it didn't really like grab me. And then I read this one and I'm like, okay, well now I kind of see where his mind is at, even though I know he did Brat Pack first, right? Like that book came out before this.
Right.
But yeah, he's something else, dude. Like he's thinking about shit that I wouldn't even think. It wouldn't even cross my mind, some of the stuff that he's putting down on paper.
See, that's one of the things that like I noticed just like about myself reading these, like, and the same like reading a lot of like Grant Morrison stuff is like I can only read like a little bit of it at a time, because it's like I feel like I don't get it. Not that it's like,
I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean, especially with Grant's.
It's like you got to process it for like so long, and it's like with Veitch's stuff, what I like about it is like how so much of it is like just the ideas are interconnected. You know what I mean? Like a lot of, have you been getting his the newer Rare Bit Fiends he's been putting out, or no? Because there's this whole bit in there that he goes on about where he has dreams and he meets like recurring characters in his dreams. I think he calls them Mercurius or something or other. And the idea that keeps being presented is that like reality is your belief, right? And that's the same thing in here with El Guano here, right? He's saying, now you are a man of knowledge. Knowledge is belief. Belief is reality. Soon. And it's like I read this and I'm just like, what does that mean? What is that? You know, it's like it's got to like sink into my brain. And on top of that, like that is again with just like the disgust. Like
I know the maggots coming out of his face.
Right. But that same idea is like echoed in, you know, in his dream comics and then in Boy Max Immortal, the same sort of ideas of like reality being something that you can mold just with your ideas, which
that's a cool, it's a dope concept.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And it's like just that he continues to come back to these same ideas, which I mean, if you look at it, that is true, or I don't want to get too metaphysical or whatever, but like, you know, I mean, that's a just insane concept anyways, that you could just mold reality. But then, you know, I'll see the same thing with like other people. They'll be talking about how, you know, everything started out as an idea, whatever it is, you know, the atomic bomb or
and then it becomes reality.
Right. It's something that, you know, you put your mind to it, you think about it so much, and eventually whatever has to happen, you know, if you don't move on from that idea, eventually you can it's like operating table, like, oh my God. That's what I'm saying. Like it just, that's what I'm saying. Like if you consider that like a real idea, I mean, I guess it is a real idea, but you know, it's something that he continues to like come back to and just ruminate on, and just
I can't wait to read more of his stuff. You know, like there's a good amount of stuff that's like that I saw on the Amazon. I'm like, I can't buy all this right now, but it's true though. Like when you say like you have to let it sit, like I didn't read Brat Pack right after I finished this. I've read like 3 other books in between and then came back to it. And it's like I've tried to read the Invisibles twice now.
Right.
And I have a really hard time reading it. You know, like I'm just like at times I'm like, I don't like, am I an idiot? Am I stupid? Like, or is it just like, am I trying to read too much too quick? Because this was a monthly comic. Sometimes I feel like I'm so used to the way comics are now, where like it feels like the writers are writing for the trade. Like they're writing for it to be read together. Whereas before, like they weren't writing it that way as much, you know, like they were writing it monthly. And I feel like some comics are meant to be consumed that way. They're not meant to be consumed all at once. They're meant to be like taken in small doses. And Morrison is one of those people that I feel like, except like his DC work, you know, or his Marvel work, I feel like those you can like read together. But his creator owned stuff, like I get so lost. You know, I get so fucking lost.
Well, I mean, Invisibles definitely is, it's easy because it's like, well, easy to get lost because I mean it is like such a huge work. I mean, it's what, like, is it 60 or 70 issues or whatever, and like it is like so like dense, like you're saying, like the concepts and just like reading through the story, you're just like, well, wait, what? It's like, I'm saying, it's like you have to like let it all like sit and just.
And I feel like because
brain,
like I'm reading it alone, I don't have anybody to like talk to about it. So I'm just like sitting there. I'm like, what the fuck did I just read?
right?
What? Like, and I'm serious. Like I have asked myself, I'm like, and my brother told me the same thing because he had all 4 of the collections, right? Like the ones that came out a few years ago, all 4 books. And he read it. He's like, I will never read this again. And he gave it to me. And I'm like, okay. And so like I tried to read it again, and I'm like, for the second time, because I think I had the hardcover and I got rid of it, and because it was out, they stopped printing the hardcovers, and I was reading it again. And I'm like, am I stupid? Like I think I even said it out loud to myself. I'm like, am I an idiot, or is it just me? And like I know I'm not the only person that has felt that way when they read that stuff, but everybody praises it, you know. So I'm like, I have to force myself to understand what I'm reading because I feel like I'm missing out on something. Like that's definitely a book like I want to read with somebody and then like talk to them about it, you know?
Right.
Because I feel like that might help me realize shit that I don't realize. Like even as we're talking about Max Immortal, you know, like you're bringing stuff to mind, and that's what I love about doing this channel and doing like a podcast and going over certain books is like being able to talk to somebody else and getting that perspective. That's one of the things that I love about working in the shop is getting to like talk about it with somebody else. It changes the experience of that's what I love about comics, dude, is like it changes your experience because it's so different than watching a show or watching a movie.
I think one of the other things to realize, and then that's what I was gonna say with him doing like I was saying with his Mercurius character that he keeps seeing again and again in his dreams, is that at no point do I get the feeling like Veitch is saying like I have the answer, like I've got the solution, I understand everything, you know what I mean? Like I get that a lot of what he's doing with Max Immortal, with Rare Bit Fiends, with maybe not so much with Brat Pack. Like I feel Brat Pack is more kind of like just a comment on like superheroes more.
Right.
But I feel like he's like putting it out like this is in a sense like him having a conversation, like just through time, like just putting out these ideas, you know, and just
like he's trying to figure it out
exactly
by putting it out there. Yeah, that's dope. Yeah, I got to read some of that stuff now. You got me.
Like I mean, like this part at the end. Well, I guess this isn't the end, but you know, he's saying, you know, the universe is big, but it's not infinite. No matter how far or how fast you travel, sooner or later you run out of room. That's how I found the place. There's not a place. Belief is reality. And the mirror of time shatters under its own mass. Each broken shard reflecting a microcosm of who I was, what I'd done, and how I affected the world. Not unlike the panels of a child's comic book. This effect can be disorienting, but is not unbearable. For each of these fractured tableaus exerts its own warm magnetic draw, which can easily turn to a gravitational pull with the focus of attention. And oh right, I'm standing frozen on a mesa in the New Mexico desert, dried husks peeling off me in the parched wind. There's sorcery here. I mean, it's
the beginning of like where he goes back and then gives birth to himself, right? Like this is like we're almost towards that part, aren't we?
Right, because then it's to me this reminds me of a lot of the concept that Morrison was talking about too. I think I'm mainly thinking of like in his Super Gods book, where it's just his book where he's talking about how he makes comics and everything.
Yeah.
He talks about like realizing that like he's just looking at like a two-dimensional universe, and that he's basically like just traveling through time by every time he's turning the page, you know, every different page is like a different snapshot of time in another universe, basically. And it's just like this idea of like being able to go that you know, your ideas, your beliefs, they're not just you know, they're intangible, but they can be real in a sense too. You know what I mean? That, you know,
I know what you mean. I get it. I get it. I know it's the concepts like that are being presented are just I'm excited. Like I want to take a while before I do read it again, but like I'm excited to read this book again. It's something that I know I'll read. Like I wouldn't get rid of this in my collection. You know, like when I purge stuff, certain things I get rid of because I know I will never read again. And then there's sometimes I get rid of stuff because I'm like, I'm not sure. And sometimes I end up buying it back, you know? Sometimes I end up rebuying stuff because I get rid of it. Like Brat Pack I got rid of. And then, well, that was more because I love hardcovers, so I was trying to get a better version of it, and I couldn't. But this is one that will benefit from multiple readings, I feel. I mean, obviously you've read it more than once, so I don't know if you feel that way also.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I'm saying. Is, I mean, every time you go through something, it's like you find different parts that like I'll find things that like I wonder too with El Guano here, right? Because El Guano is bat shit.
Yeah.
Like you have to, it makes me kind of wonder, like, is that like a reflection too of Batman? You know what I mean? Because the same thing happened with Batman with Bob Kane and Bill Finger, you know, like
I didn't even think about that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and that just came to me now. Like, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I just thinking about that, like, okay, the guano, is that like something does that have something to do with Batman? I mean, it has to, because I mean, he keeps having these images of bats when he's talking about El Guano here. And, you know, like I said, it was the same thing that happened with Superman, with his creators being screwed over. Maybe that's what he's saying, because Bob Kane was like famously, he was like the
he's a scumbag.
Yeah, he was.
I mean, let's call it like it is. He's a fucking asshole. Have you seen that Bill Finger documentary?
No.
Do you have Hulu?
I do.
Look up Bill Finger.
Okay. Yeah, because
I sad, but it's a really good. I think it's called like Who Was Bill Finger or something like that. I can't remember the name. I wasn't planning on talking about it, so that's why I didn't look it up. But you should check it out. It's really good, and it talks about Bob Kane, or it has that whole situation, because like it wasn't just Bob Kane that did it. Yeah, he drew it, right? But like he didn't come up with everything. So it's almost like the reverse, right? Of like Jack Kirby, Stan Lee. Bob Kane was the artist, and then he fucked over the writer. You know, didn't want to give him credit, and I think for years it actually, I think I forgot who it was, but I think whoever did the documentary was fighting to get it said like created by Bob Kane and Bill Finger, instead of it just saying created by Bob Kane, which is what it said obviously for fucking years. I mean, Bob Kane was putting his name on the stuff when he wasn't even the one drawing it anymore, and he would still have his like signatures. Like, you didn't even fucking draw the book, dude.
Right?
Doesn't even make sense.
I've seen like pictures of him where it's like this whole like painting that someone has done that like it's not that he did it, and he's like standing there with the brush, like big old.
Oh yeah, I know that picture. Dude, that dude was so full of himself. My God, dude, like the fucking ego. I think I've talked to you know Scott Shaw, that cartoonist. Are you familiar with him?
I don't think so. Like I know
he's like one of the guys that helped start San Diego Comic-Con. He was there from the beginning. He's also worked for like Hanna-Barbera, so he's a regular at the shop. And he's talked to me about Bob Kane, because like Bob Kane was out in LA when, you know, I think
I don't know, I feel like the 80s or whatever. So he always said like, yeah, Bob Kane would come into wherever he was working, I can't remember, and he was just like, yeah, that dude was like super full of himself. I mean, you can see it, like fucking stupid fucking cigarette in his little fucking, with the stick. Anyways,
see, I've got that makes me want to look up, like, because I've always heard this story. I'm not gonna be able to get it right, but there's this story about like Jim Steranko like going up and just like bitch slapping.
Oh yeah, I've heard that story too. I wish there was
I
video footage of that. I would love to watch that video. I would just rewind it and watch it over and over again if I could.
That's what there was Steranko was at like a Comic-Con in like Youngstown or something, like maybe like 5 or 6 years ago, and like my car was broke, or you know what I mean, something came up where I couldn't go, and I was just like, ah. And like I've always wanted to just, because I've always heard that like if you can get him talking, he'll just tell you like all these crazy stories about.
Yeah, he's super out there right now too. Steranko, he's fucking all sorts of nuts. I think I like reached out to him about doing an interview, and like the response I got was just like, I'm like,
isn't
okay,
it like
maybe it's better that we don't
take
talk,
pictures,
Right.
Well, that's, I mean, isn't it like he won't let people take like pictures of him, and like,
oh no, he just started going off about like COVID and fucking. I'm just like, dude, I was just asking if we could talk some comics, like I'm not trying to get into politics. I'm not trying to get into like, pandemic talk, but.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Is like I've always heard that before. Is that like at like comic, if he's at like a show or something, like he's just like no pictures, no, like just insane about.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, this is the thing though, is like, because he came out like in the 60s, right? Like that was when he started,
right?
So I mean, you got to imagine like living through all this stuff, seeing all these things happen. You don't get to the end and like, you're like doing well. You know what I'm saying? Like once you live through so many different things, like it just, your brain breaks eventually. I mean,
yeah,
that's why I always give like I always felt bad with Stan Lee. Like I just read something the other day where they were talking about when he was like 95 or whatever, they were like, well, and he showed some nurse his Excelsior, and I'm thinking like, yeah, he's like 95. Like, it's not cool or whatever, but also like,
I think we can move past that. Yeah.
Right. And
yeah,
if it's a nurse that's taking care of a 95-year-old guy anyways, like,
you should expect to see their Excelsior.
Right. That's what they're dealing with anyways. Like,
you should expect to see it, dude.
That's, yeah, I mean, that's, once you're at that age, if you're in like not to get, we've already been talking about gross stuff, but adult diapers and stuff, like the nurses have to change those. I mean, there's no.
This conversation turned to a really weird spot. We're talking about adult diapers now.
Right. I mean,
anyways, back to Max Immortal. I think we're nearing the end. We're almost at the end.
Yeah. So this is. That's what I'm saying. I was like, I feel like we've seen all these like disgusting things in here already. Like, what's mentioning adult diapers? Is that really going to push it that over the line? I don't.
No, I think we're not there. Yeah,
we've all got to be ready for that. I mean,
prepare yourselves. That should be the commercial for Depends. Prepare yourselves.
Prepare yourselves. Be the new sponsor. Hell.
Yeah. Yep. Comic Lounge brought to you by Depends. Adult diapers. Prepare yourselves.
Oh my God.
I'm delirious because I've been up a long time today, and
isn't that in isn't that one of the ads they had in Image Grand Design Disaster? They had the ad with Todd McFarlane. This is going to ruin my chances of working with McFarlane too. They have like an ad in here of McFarlane brand, like do you know what I'm talking about?
I can't remember now.
Because there was the whole thing where the interview with Todd, and he was like saying how he doesn't eat or drink at shows.
Oh yeah, so he doesn't have to go to the bathroom.
Right. And then there's I swear it's in here. It might have been in the Wizards magazine, but I swear it's in Image Game Design. I'm gonna, if I find it, I'm gonna post it in the when you post this online is what I'm gonna do. I'll ask Eli's gonna know who it is.
He would know, yeah.
But it was well, anyways. Enough adult diaper talk. I don't know where I'm going there.
I mean, yeah. I mean, now, like, we basically, I think there's only a few pages left, so I think that.
Oh, and Divinity School.
Ideas.
What? That's me. Yeah, because this is.
Yeah, Einstein, fucking his brief cameo appearance throughout. Yeah, but I think it's interesting because, like,
well, that's this is just my own shout out here, right? Like, they're talking to Oppenheimer, right? And they're like, what's next for you? He's like, shutting down the project will take some time. After that, I don't know. I've been thinking of Divinity School. That's what I'm a doctor of divinity. So it all comes full circle. So yeah, and then we go on to.
Yeah, I think I mean, just wrap it up with this, but I think it's interesting the fact that, like you said, everything is coming full circle and
because this is when he
himself.
Yeah, he shows up. Spiegel there shows up at the when he's at the office or whatever.
Yeah.
And oh shit, it really does come full circle because Christ, the bastard shit his pants. It all comes together. Wow.
Yeah.
If only he has followed the advice of our sponsor. But he doesn't. True Man actually, the Maximortal actually shows up, and is it supposed to be that like he vaporizes all the other guys because they're all up there in the office, right? Spiegel's up there, Wallace, and like his cronies or whatever are all there. He comes back, or Maximortal, or I don't even know what you would describe, like the alien thing. He shows up. They're all like, wow. It's like they all see him, right? And then the next thing is they say ideas exist.
Yeah.
By virtue of their form. If so, mine shall be of alchemized gold. And then what? He appears, he grows into the outfit. Because like this is the other thing, is like that's why we were talking about adult diapers. Because he shit the pants. Lord. See, so I was on track. I was on track
you were leading us there, yeah.
Subconsciously. Okay, no, he didn't kill him, because then we still have him here. Yeah, they all like go out into the hall or something. What do you see? What do you see? It looks clear, right? He's flown the coop and taken Spiegel with him.
Yeah.
Call.
And then this is where it ties. And if you flip the page, and then he's like, I'm greeted by screams of the bell tower of St. Bingo's parish. It's been 10 years since my defeat here in slumbering at the hands of Dr. Blasphemy. I reappear not as a savior, but to reclaim lost fragments of myself. I've come to understand what I am, and now I shall be created. Each of you took something from me. I must have it back. And then we go right back to Siberia. I do not belong in this moment. I must use a speck of the place that is not a place to force my way in, such as the inevitable power and elusiveness of a perfect idea. There's a Cossack trapper 2 days to the east. When he comes to investigate the explosion, I'll feed him on frozen mammoth, and then I'll have my way with him. I'll immediately conceive an embryo and give birth to myself, and let the philosophers argue over which came first, the chicken or the egg. The end. That's the fucking end of the book. Dope.
And again, sticking with the hair. Oof. Like they're usually I'm for hair, definitely, but like there's something about that. It's just disturbing. I don't want to get it too. I don't know if that'll get us. Oh well, it was off the picture anyways. Or no, it's not. The whole picture's there. Sorry, Ryan's.
Oh, come on.
Uh-oh.
I can order them from the shop.
I don't know if I can wait that long. My new show is.
It's Amazon. Go on Amazon. They have them.
And then we end with this afterword about the curse of the Superman.
Mm-hmm.
That's what, like you were saying. I mean, Rick Veitch is like beyond just being like a master cartoonist. I mean, he is thinking.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude.
You know what I
He's
mean?
like,
Like-
very, very like a different type of level, like very intellectual. You know, like what he's putting down. Like it's nothing here is surface level. Like
No.
you have to think about what you're reading when it comes to his work, and it makes for a better reading experience because you can't. Like I didn't power through this, but I also couldn't put it down. I continuously read it. I read it, and I think I read the first chapter or the first issue's worth the night, like at night, and then I'm like, okay, I'm getting tired. I put it down, and then I read the rest of it the next day, and I just
This letter from Jerry Siegel, the creator of Superman, the publishers of Superman comic books, National Periodical Publications, now DC Comics, killed my days, murdered my nights, choked my happiness, strangled my career. I consider National's executives economic murderers, money-mad monsters. I, Jerry Siegel, the co-originator of Superman, put a curse on the Superman movie. Like, so that was eventually what led them to peeling off a couple dollars for him.
yeah, still not enough, but yeah, I mean they did something, but
Wow.
Yeah, just an amazing
Good
book.
Lord.
You know, yeah, dude. I love this book, dude. I'm glad we I'm glad we fucking talked about this. I had it and I'm like that, and I reached and then I was like, you want to read this book with me? You know, because it was in my pile. I was about to read it, and that's when I hit you up and I was like, let's talk about it. I'm glad we did, dude, because definitely being able to shine more light onto this book, I'm down to do. But
well, it makes, like I said, it's like it gives you like talking with other people, and even just like reading it and then like talking about it, like gives you a different perspective on it. Like there's so many things just talking about it now that like really, like the whole thing with Guano there, Guano being
yeah,
the bats.
he's not the Batman, he's the bat shit, but you know, same
shit, right?
Yeah, same thing.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, I don't think I have any final words other than I recommend people go pick this up and hit up. I think you can hit up Rick Veitch. He's got his own site where he sells stuff. And then you can also on Amazon, if you look up Rick Veitch Sun Comics, I mean, he's got all of his stuff, his back catalog available on there. Definitely go pick it up.
Is it rickveitch.com? Hold on.
Yeah. I think it's Rick Veitch.
Yeah, it's rickveitch.com. Yeah. So
go pick it up. Go pick up Max Immortal. All the stuff, dude. I definitely got to read the next couple books. Boy, Max Immortal. I know there's two of those. But yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah. That's the only thing the only other thing is promote my
promote that shit, dude.
Promote the Gotham newsstand. Me and
Hell
Peter
yeah.
Hensel.
Mm-hmm.
This is just the first one. This was like he's had his shop for like 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And he just wanted to like celebrate having his own comic shop. I mean,
It's awesome.
This was like a local poet, wrote poems. They printed a bag with the poems. Then he invited me to, like, we did this. It's supposed to be like a reprint of a strip that was from the 40s, reprinted in the 60s.
Nice.
And then the next one, and Ben Perkins is in this too, with his galactic us character.
Yeah.
Because like Peter's also like a DJ. Like,
all right.
I love it. Like he's just puts a CD of all their stuff. And then the next issue is more stuff with me and Jerome Cabanatan and my fellow Ben Perkins.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, that's what I got. And I'm gonna show off my Stanley Tales of Terror thing. I love this thing because
Oh, dope, dude! You got some printed up?
yeah, because I redid that. I didn't even think about that. I redid that cover that was from that Frederick Wortham thing. Like I redid that image of like somebody holding that head, but like from a different angle. That's at least that's what I was trying to do.
Yeah, dope. I like it. Awesome, dude. Well, I'll drop all the links to like where people can find you on social media and stuff, and they can hit you up, get some of your stuff.
Yeah.
And if
We'll
you're
link
not,
rickveitch.com in there, definitely.
definitely, dude. And if you're not already following Comic Lounge, you can follow us Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Make sure you like, follow, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and hit that thumbs up. Throw some comments down below. Share your thoughts with us on the book if you've read it and you're a fan. And on that note, we're out.